Hello, it's me, LukasRainbow. Yes, I know, a sudden voice reveal, but that's not the point here. It's been a while since I uploaded a video, and initially I didn't want it to be a scrapped video, I wanted it to be a full-on video. But the video I was working on, strategy on soloing Dead Rails, well, let's just say I procrastinated a little bit, and by the time I wanted to work on it again, updates released and the strategy has kind of changed, so there's that. As much as I'd like to continue working on this video, I feel like it's much better to just upload what I have right now so it, stops taking up space on my hard drive. So, you take what you can get, alright? Okay. Now, with that out of the way, please enjoy the video. Dead Rails is a game on Roblox that has taken the internet by storm. Albeit a while ago, but I'd say it's still kind of hyped. Now, if you haven't played it, first of all, what are you waiting for? And second of all, I guess I could explain it for you. Think of Desert Bus, but actually full of content, and that's actually fun, and you're not just driving a fucking bus along the desert for 8 hours. If you haven't heard of the game, or hell, even seen the game, it's pretty simple. You just get into a train, drive it for 80 kilometers, collecting loot along the way until you inevitably get to the end where you get the cure for a zombie plague. But the lore and all of this is not really important. What actually is important is how the hell are you gonna beat the game in solo? Because, well, what if you don't have any friends to play with like I do sometimes? Anyway, that's what this video is going to be about. Playing Dead Rails, or finishing Dead Rails, in solo. Before even jumping into the main part of the game, there are already some things that we have to discuss. Namely, what class do you want to choose? For me, I would say the conductor is actually the best. You spawn with 2 coal and get to drive the train at 85 meters per second, albeit at the cost of a melee weapon. Which does suck, but as you will see once we actually get into the gameplay, it's not that big of a deal. Though, if you don't have the conductor, there are some good alternatives. The miner, for example, also spawns with 2 coal and, well, a pickaxe, so you can actually mine the ores that spawn around the desert. Now, of course you can't drive the train as fast, but that's fun as it is. The wolf tamer is also not a bad option. He's called the pack master, you idiot. Since you can tame wolves by simply just letting them bite you once, and you can have a wolf army at the end. And also apparently the vampire is really good. I wouldn't know, I haven't tried it. So, now that we've established what classes you can choose, let's actually get into the game. At first, you obviously still want to sell the gold bar to get those 50 bucks, now having a total of 70. This money you will spend on 1 revolver ammo, and 1 coal. This is why I said earlier that it doesn't really matter whether or not the conductor spawns with a melee weapon, as no matter what class you'll choose, you'll end up with a revolver this way anyway. Now the only problem with the strategy is that it relies a little bit on RNG for the early game. This is because if you chose a class that doesn't spawn with 2 coal in the beginning, you're only left with 1 single coal, that being the coal you buy from the shop. So if you don't get a house relatively soon, you're most likely gonna run out of fuel and have to either wait for a zombie night or start the game over. Other than that though, the strategy actually works really well, as you can loot houses now a lot more efficiently. Okay. That shot the camera so far away. But actually, before taking off, you should take from this news post the 3 pieces of paper. Make sure to weld the paper on the right side of this big entrance, so that you can only get in through the left side by shift locking, not by walking in normally. This strategy prevents enemies from easily reaching you, meaning that they have to find other ways, or simply just stand in front of your train, looking like some dumbass. Other than that, you can use the coal to refuel and finally get the train moving. From this point and onward, you want to collect absolutely everything you find, even if it's junk. Books, wires, more pieces of paper for fuel, zombies for fuel, you name it. You should collect absolutely everything, and then sell everything once you get to the next outpost. To the next checkpoint, I should say. However, make sure to only loot individual buildings, because looting cities, no matter how enticing it might be, should be skipped. Especially if it's a big city. But even if it's just a small city with a church and 6 houses, you should still skip it. A single revolver with just one single revolver ammo is not enough to loot the entire city. You can maybe loot the front 2 buildings if you really feel like it, but I would discourage even that, as that's already filled enough with risk. And after all, this tutorial is supposed to be kind of just a basic tutorial on how far you could get without needing huge bits of skill. Now, as for what to do during nights, stay inside your little train driver conductor space thingamabob where you glued the papers to, with the exception of one night. Lightning nights. If it's a lightning night, just keep on driving and pray to God that you're not gonna get hit while driving, because yes, that can happen. And if you're near a building, get inside that building, because lightning is not something to be messed with. Keep in mind you're playing this on solo. One death, and it's all gone. So it's better to be safe than sorry. I would say the real mid-game happens when you actually get to around the midpoint. During this time, your strategy actually does change a little bit. Instead of just aiming for revolver and revolver ammo, you should actually be aiming for a rifle or a shotgun now. That's obviously assuming that you had enough loot before. If you don't, you might have to delay this strategy by a little bit. Now, obviously, you're not just going to buy just rifles and shotguns, you're also going to buy coal, armor, and maybe if you wanted some Molotovs as well if you really need them. But for all the smaller stuff, like dynamite or barbed wire, I would actually skip these. Now, if the general store offers a box of metal sheets, you should absolutely buy one of them. Because doing so would not only give you protection from the train, but also allow you to remove the paper from your train cockpit thingy and replace it for a sheet metal with the exact same strategy as before. If you actually have a rifle or a shotgun by now with at least a good bit amount of ammo, then the strategy actually really changes. For once, you no longer have to collect everything. Stuff that normally sells for like just $5 or $7 can now just be left behind. So barrels or ropes, for example, can now just instead be used for fuel, but even then, you can leave them behind. Coal gets the job done much better. Or dead bodies, hell, I don't know. As for structures, you can now actually start looting them. You should still be careful, especially with cities and the abandoned city, and especially with the castle, but you can now actually start getting at them. Now, with the castle, you should still be extremely careful, but there's actually a strategy that works with this. If you have a spare metal sheet, grab it, enter that little house inside of the castle, then, once all the werewolves start hauling at your fucking ass, you want to place this sheet metal right in front of the door and pull it against you, or just drag it to the outside. Werewolves will get stuck, and using Molotovs or rifle shots, you can now very easily take care of them. But, again, you need Molotovs and ammo for that, so if the castle appears rather early on, my advice is skipping it, as good as it might be. The vampire knife is good in the early game, not so much in late game. As for knights, well, normal zombie knights and vampire knights should no longer be a big deal for you. Werewolf knights can get the hell out of there, and lightning knights also kind of the same strategy if you don't have a lightning rod just yet. Stay inside the building, or pray to fucking God. Oi! 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 My God. And that's where the video abruptly ends. I told you it's a scrap video, I never really ended up finishing it, and by the time I wanted to continue working on it, a huge update released, and everything I would have said essentially was, you know, late, and didn't really matter, so there's that. I hope you still enjoyed the video nonetheless, despite it being unfinished, but you take what you can get, I guess, and I didn't just want to leave this sitting on my hard drive taking up space, so yeah. Alright, have a good day!